Hello, hello. I'm gonna totally not screw up playing the Empire today. Yeah, that's gonna happen. They are quite possibly my worst faction to play as. Second only maybe to the Tomb Kings, who I should theoretically like to play as, but I cannot seem to make them work for me even a little bit. I assume I'm flush with
The
viewers today.
green-skin threat is extinguished, sire. Yet the fight to secure your rule has only just
Enjoyed
begun.
the first
The Empire
15
is
minutes
beset by
of
civil war once more.
absolutely
Secessionists
nothing but a
hostile
screen
to your
saying that I would
election
start
as
streaming
Emperor
eventually.
are trying to form a breakaway province to the south. Advance, crush them, and bring the lands back to your sovereign rule.
Hey, I
To the
think
north,
my microphone
Boris
is working
Todbringer of
properly.
Middenheim, a bitter rival in the recent election, is openly hostile.
It does not
A
appear to be
clash with
picking up the
Todbringer
game
and the
audio at
wolves
all,
of
so I can actually
Middenland
hear for
may well
once.
be unavoidable if you wish to unify the Empire. Plan for this
It'd be pretty
eventuality.
nice. Unless there's an echo on here. And I'm just not
The
seeing in
Empire
the
has
little
ever
bouncy
been
green bars.
besieged by foes, but you are a prince of Altdorf. Greatness runs in your very blood. Make the Heldenhammer proud.
Well, thank you for letting me know. How about now? Better? Well, of course, gotta wait 30 seconds for you guys to be able to see it. Or hear it, I should say. Still does appear to be working properly. Like, that's almost frightening. I don't understand why it's working so well. It wasn't before. Alright, we're going to do much better this time than the last time that I attempted to play yesterday as the Empire, which
Summon the Elector Counts.
did not go well, to put it mildly. 15 turns. Looked that up the other day, too. Alright, so we're going to start by just running forward,
Men, war calls.
moving in for the initial attack. We're going to fight to make sure that we know what we're doing. Always, always fight your first battle. It's always generally set up to be pretty darn easy, very easily winnable, but is just meant to show you how your troops work, especially if it's a faction that you've never actually played before.
We are Sigmar's heirs.
That's a solid front line. Don't have a caster to worry about. I mean, we could go with a more spread out. Something like that. Pull these guys over this way.
Ready to fire.
I think I'm going to attempt to get the gunners to shoot from up on the hill.
Reichsguard Knights.
Want my nice charge down the hill with those guys.
The Empire endures.
Good old Karl Franz up front. Might as well use his solid fighting skills.
To me, men.
Throw that on there. These guys each in a separate group. as far as what do you mean by place the troops? So I get to place my troops, but this is my army as it stands now. I have to build it up to be what I want it to be. But I get to move my guys around. They have a preset formation, like, I mean, I can expand that out, make them into different shapes, point them whatever direction I want. But for the most part, oh, I made them all skinny. Oops. Or fat. So before battle, I get to set up my army in the formation that I would prefer to see it in. You can set it up in like kind of a traditional front line with ranged support and then wings of like cavalry on each side to charge in, or so that's what I did here with my cavalry. This is shot cavalry. It's meant for the charge. It is not meant for sustained combat. It is just supposed to dive in with lances, smash things, and then run away again to do it all over again. I'm hoping to use this position on the hill. So, I mean, everything is simulated as far as like walking uphill. Your troops actually do get tired. So if I hold spacebar, you can see this here is my activity level. They're well rested and ready to fight. Running makes them more tired. Marching uphill makes them more tired, and then being in sustained combat also makes them tired. And then you can actually rest them so that they're more effective. When they're tired, they are less effective in battle, more likely to break just from exhaustion and whatnot.
My subjects call.
So one of the you've got a couple of things that you're aiming to do here. So the green bars here and red bar. So green bar is allied health. So my units, well, my army's health bars. Red is an enemy health bar. White is the leadership. So if you run out the green bar, then they're dead. Obviously you have killed them and you've won in that respect. But if you can run the white bar down, then you can also, that's when they'll throw up a white flag and start running away. So you always have the option to try to break their leadership, give them a morale break so that they're not fighting, rather than sit there and try to grind down every last troop. And then different circumstances will make one or the other more desirable. And for some armies, like the vampires, they're really good. You use them to actually work on this confidence because they're all scary. So being scary, they just impact leadership just by being there. I mean, when you're fighting a zombie or whatever, it's a lot more scary than just a dude with a stick. Move forward here. So you have all sorts of different options when it comes to moving your troops on the battlefield. If I just right click out here, they'll just start marching. I can right click on this guy and it would make them all try to run and attack that guy. But if I hold control and right click, they'll all march in formation in a straight line. And then when they're close enough, they will actually pick a target, whoever's closest to them, and they will charge that particular unit. So now I'm gonna get my handgunners running up. So other things you can do is you can actually like draw a path that you want them to follow. So right there, I just told my horses to run in an arc to intercept those guys in the rear. I'm actually going to interrupt that because that was a way extended path when I could do a much better job by just running them straight down here. Where you charge makes a difference. So if you hit somebody in the back, that not only does it tend to really tank their health fast, it also really impacts their leadership, their morale bar, because I mean they're being hit in the back. That's kind of demoralizing. And I forgot to actually cancel these guys. So now you should see my my horsemen. Well, they are definitely coming in for the...
Stop!
Oops. That's funny. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. Now you see them lower their lances and start moving really fast. And then, bam, they just start plowing into people. Punting them across the field. Then you can usually leave them in battle for just a few seconds. They have a bonus while they're there, and see their leadership broke. That's why their flag is starting to waver. Same with that flag there. So they're out of the game basically at this point. They're going to be running away, not doing any damage. So you could chase them down, or you can ignore them since they're no longer impacting you, and then make better use of your troops elsewhere. Gonna move my gunners again. And then we should be just about to break everybody. If you can basically get everybody's morale to break at the same time, then you can rout off the whole army. Which is exactly what we just did. Everybody broke at the same time. There's a lot of different ways that you can maximize your ability to deplete their morale. Like killing their general gives the whole army a morale debuff, because they're like, oh boy, you killed our leader. So they tend to get a pretty solid hit to the morale. With some armies, morale is really important. So the vampires especially, whether it's the Vampire Coast or the Vampire Pirates or the other undead, the Egyptian guys, the Tomb Kings, when their morale is depleted, rather than run away, they never run away because they're dead. They don't get scared. But when their morale breaks, the spells and everything binding them into action start to fail, and they literally just start dying on the field. They just start evaporating and falling dead where they stand. So you need to try to keep your morale up, keep things healed as much as you can when you're running an undead army. And it's going to be the same case with the upcoming 5 factions of demons that we're getting in the next game. They work the same way. If their morale breaks, they start to basically evaporate back into the chaos realm where they're from. So it didn't do awful. I mean, you know, it took a little bit of damage, but not bad for a starting army. It was still a decisive victory. It wasn't Pyrrhic or anything like that. So we're gonna have to fight this guy one more time. Or, well, I mean, we did this the other day. So I have options here. I can give myself leadership by killing any of the captives. I can just ransom the captives back. Or I can be like, hey, you know, we're all the same side here. Why don't you guys come help us? And it gives me a little bit of healing, basically, which is exactly what I am opting to do.
My orders are to move.
So in that battle, I actually got a new sword that I get to equip.
To war.
This says we're going to have a Pyrrhic victory. We're going to try to fight this one a little bit better than the last one. Ah, yes, I remember. This map is terrible. So on this part, you know, it always drops them in whatever stupid formation that they decided that they're supposed to be in this game, which I've never understood. So I always have to redo this, but in the next game I'm so excited because it actually does save, theoretically, your formation in between rounds. So if you're always setting yourself up one way, it should just continue to work that way for you. You don't have to go through this annoying process every single time. I'll just stick the knights over here. Forests really suck for knights or any kind of cavalry like that. They just don't do a very good job of moving through it. Yes, it can be. But the problem is that I'm the aggressor here, so I'm the one attacking them. They won't necessarily come to me. If I had artillery, then they would be forced to come to me, because otherwise I'll just sit back here in safety and blow them up. But since I don't have artillery and I'm the attacker, so there's a time limit. If the time limit runs out, then I don't win the fight. And they can just wait out an entire hour of sitting over there. So most likely I will have to engage. Not always. Sometimes you can get them to come to you. It all kind of depends. Like, what they'll probably do is, I can't see their troops. They'll probably just come back here and wait for the reinforcing army to come in. Most likely. I mean, that's what I would do if I was on their side of the line. So we'll see how they run, and then if they come to me, then that's great. And they might, once the reinforcing army gets there, because they will outnumber me fairly significantly at that point. So they might feel the stronger. In which case they might come and charge up the hill. Yeah, holding the high ground is definitely, when you can do it, it's a great idea, just because even the act of standing at the crest of the hill and fighting somebody down below you, you get a bonus to combat with them. So here's another move option that you can do with your troops. You can hold Alt, and you can just drag them around. And then once you get them where you want them to be, you can hold Control and actually rotate them. And that's exactly where they will now march into position. Looks like they're actually possibly going to be trying to engage. I would be alright with that. Lumpy ground like this is so terrible for gunpowder weapons. Actually, I'm going to try and put them over here. May or may not work out for me, but we'll give it a shot. I'm going to tell these guys to march faster because they're walking. Anytime you hold Control and give a move order, it makes them walk instead of run. Which is unfortunate, because a lot of the times I use the more complex move actions, which do involve hitting Control. Alright guys, like, start shooting and stuff. Shielded, not shielded. Okay, shoot spearmen. So a shielded enemy, if you're shooting them in the front with a ranged unit, they will block. Depends on the kind of shield. So if I hover over this guy here, you can see he has a next to his armor there, underneath the health bar on the screen on the left side, he has a little bronze colored shield. That means he'll block 30% of all, if I remember right, 30% of all shots fired at him. So even if the arrow would otherwise hit them, then there's a 30% chance that it's not going to. Now, if you can hit them in the rear or in the sides where they're not able to block, then that actually works out fairly well for you. I'm going to turn these guys around and have them shoot at these guys instead. Oh, I got to get my horses out here. Actually might have the horses do a number on these retreating troops for the moment. Well, of course you're going to run right through the gunmen. was not paying attention. What we would really like Karl Franz to do is just move his butt through these guys and come fight this lone fella out here. Had a nice charge, punted a hell of a lot of guys a hell of a long way away.
Moving now.
Now we're going to move away from them.
Taking position.
And they have opted to chase the horsemen. Now we're just going to turn and recharge them if they're going to so obligingly move to us. And then we'll just charge through this time because we knocked their entire regiment to the ground. There, we'll punt that guy out of the way real quick. A good cavalry charge is very satisfying.
Quick march. All ranks take. Retreat. Take the ground. To battle. We serve the Emperor.
Now we gotta go hit these archers over here. I'm gonna retreat to the trees, which is a good move. Retreating to the trees because the trees really mess with the horses. They have a real hard time getting through. This one, I think we're gonna start marching these spearmen around to do some surrounds on the enemy. That helps break their morale when they get a surround if they're being hit on all sides. Even just being hit in the rear. So you can see that when I hover over them. If they're wavering, that means they're, and then they're getting very tired. They're losing decisively, and now they're routing, which is good. Now we're gonna try to get these guys to do the same. Oh, I need to get my horsemen moving.
Go! Fight men! Fight for our right to live! Moving now!
And we're gonna kind of try to erupt out of the trees and hit these swordsmen. Just like that. And I guess a lot of us will just splash through and hit the other swordsmen. So this being a battle for a settlement, all I need is victory. Because once you win a settlement battle, the entire opposing army dies. For reasons. Even if you've got multiple armies, like there was the army, the garrison army in the settlement itself, and then that other army of the guy that I fought the first time is the one who came in to reinforce. But because it was a settlement battle, they will both die, even though the one wasn't technically in the city. Warhammer 3 is going to be very different. The city, like that battle there, that minor settlement battle, in this game, unless the city is a major city or somebody's built walls around it, which it takes a while to be able to build walls. Prior to that, any city or any city battle that's just a small town is just in an open field, always. In Warhammer 3, it will be a much more strategic, like you actually have to assault the city. The defenders of the city will be building like barricades in the streets and towers, like temporary towers to have archers and whatnot shooting out of. And you've got to do like a multi-pronged surrounding attack on the entire city to kind of divide their defenses a little bit. It's going to be way more challenging than what I just went through. And so much more fun. And then I'm going to just go ahead and occupy this. And apparently, okay, I was going to say that army hadn't disappeared, but now it faded out. So this does have like a lot of RPG elements. So like, I just gained a militiaman who's going to be following me. I come in here and I do this is my level up skill tree. So I could either make Karl Franz a monster combatant, or I could make him a really good leader. So that's your blue skill line is stuff that happens on the campaign map. Red is like buffs for your army. Yellow is personal buffs, and then anything above that is specific to your character. So this is specific to Karl Franz. And they're usually really powerful because so you got your little normal troops, and then you've got your legendary lords, and they are just, in some cases, a one-man army, like I was saying about Louis Leoncoeur the other day, my least favorite to fight against. I'm going to go with making him a fighter, I think. We'll see how it goes. I don't have him on a mount yet. At 4, I can put him on a horse. 7, I can put him on a barded horse. At 12, I can put him on a Pegasus. And at 16, I get Deathclaw, which is his hippogriff mount. So since I don't have a mount yet, I'll just give him better attack skills. That gave me some Imperial authority. Good deal.
Your burgeoning realm
Now I have a
grows,
quest.
Your Eminence, yet many evils still
That'll give
abound
me a
in this
battle
world.
wizard and a
The
sword
Empire
of
remains
striking.
divided, and marauding greenskins still threaten your lands. Further afield,
Alright,
there are rumors
so
of a dark force rising.
I've managed to get
in the
myself into a settlement,
spreading
wiped
the
out
taint
some of the
undeath.
guys, so now I'm going to
Must
definitely
remain
get some
vigilant.
new troops, or some more troops. I don't have a lot of options. I have Free Company, which are hand gunner. They're almost like pirate guys is basically what they are. They carry a single flintlock pistol and then and a sword, rapier in the other hand. Spearmen. Got a couple spearmen already. I think I'll wait on spearmen, and I do need a swordsman. I'll try these Free Company militia to start with, and then start building up my settlements. Which is going to be rather slow, it would appear. Alright, so that's Nuln. Got the goblins there. So I just got to take out these two towns next. I'll probably move to Ubersreich because I can follow the road up there. Roads matter. They definitely make it easier to travel.
What?
Look at my research. More leadership. Oh yeah, does matter. Need the early growth. That makes it so that you can level up your towns faster. Growth is all about getting population built up in your provinces.
Ready.
So now we just hit next turn. Let it go through the other, however the hell many factions there are. I can't even remember at this point. I need to establish a trade agreement with Nordland. Alright, where are you at, Nordland? Nordland. Are you way up here? That's what I thought.
Greetings
Which
on
means
behalf
that
of
I
the
probably-
Empire. Now what brings you
Oh, I
here
can,
with a
okay.
sheathed blade?
Let's try a non-aggression pact
Agreed?
first. Alright. So this is diplomacy. There's not a lot to it. So this tells you the likelihood of success. It's not very informative. In the new game coming out in a couple weeks, It's very much more informative. It lets you know exactly how likely, how unlikely, what you could add to actually make it happen. It's gonna be so much better. Like everything with that game. Just gonna be so much better. Okay. So I got a little bit better troop setup. I'm going to look at this and try to figure out where the... So this is still in Grunberg. That's perfect. So what we're going to do is walk up to the very edge of how far we can walk, which is still in our province that we control. And then we can actually recruit some more. I guess I'm going to go with the crappy Imperial Archers and one more Swordsman. They might be crappy, but I need some ranged. Oh, nice. What does Prestige actually do? So that's all it is for, is to mess with my... So I get to actually mess with my standing with these guys. So my standing with this guy is getting better. Because I just signed that treaty with him earlier, a non-aggression pact. But I can apparently make it go even faster, theoretically. I don't know why I would want to do it with him, though. I got Boris right here. Boris is probably who I should actually be trying to get better with. He's a dick who doesn't like me very much, apparently.
Approach and make your offer.
How about a non-aggression pact while we're still in fairly good stand? You jerk. I really don't want to be fighting wars. I know a lot of people probably would at this point. I'm going to try not to. I'm going to mess with that. Try that thing out and see how it works. Machinations with Midland. Let's improve our relations. Plus 25 out of that. That's nice.
By Sigma's will, come in peace. Disagree with that?
Jerk. Nothing happens immediately in this when it comes to diplomacy. So like you can trespass on people's territory and it'll upset them a little bit. But it doesn't, you know, like just walking, taking one step across this border and back into your own territory will give you a -10 to your diplomacy score with them, but it's not immediate. Everything goes on a scale.
Come in peace.
So you can see here, our attitude value currently is 0, but it's going to go to 23 eventually. So it just slowly ticks up a little bit every turn until it levels out at whatever it's supposed to be. So you can't just generally jump in and be like, hey, I'm your best friend. Here's 50,000 gold. Let's be buddies for life. It is a thing that you can do. It just doesn't immediately make them your best friend.
By the comet.
Alright, so we're going to go ahead and hit next turn. And now we are going to
raise your weapons.
Go visit these guys. Close victory, it says. So they have a very similar army to how we started. We had a slightly better second ranged unit with our handgunners. So you always have the option of auto-resolving. If anything is going to die, it'll flash red over here to tell you that if you click that auto-resolve button, you're losing that unit. That came in our last last set of patches for Warhammer 2. Prior to that, it was always just a guess. I'm going to actually fight the battle, though, because I think I can do a little better than that. We'll see, because I'm not good with Empire, so I probably can't, and this is probably a mistake. It doesn't... Oh, yeah, they are shielded. Okay. Oh, this is the worst. Absolute worst map. There's this giant-ass statue of Sigmar in the middle of it. Like, if you have awesome artillery or anything, just kiss it goodbye because you got this stupid thing in your way. And that also, this whole hill in the middle blocks complete sight over here. So I cannot see what's going on over there unless... That's still not going to really let me. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to hide those two guys over there. I'm going to turn off their fire at will. So at the moment, they're just kind of spies up there. So this little symbol here, the Vanguard Deployment, the little man with the arrow, means that they can go, instead of just inside our yellow line, they can go all the way up to the white line. You can actually even... Oh, not on this particular map. On a lot of maps, in the very back corner, there will also be... Oh, yeah. We can, actually, all the way up to here. You can sneak around the back completely with those guys. That might be fun. We'll see how it goes. Alright, but otherwise we need to do kind of the same thing we always do. Get our infantry set up. I'm going to take them over here. Or should I? I'll actually make use of where we stuck those Free Company militia. Oh, there's a cliff in the way. We'll do that. Get some archers set up here. And then we'll get old Carl up here in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna slide all these. Well, I'm gonna slide this guy down a bit. Put these guys in the middle. Give them a little bit of separation. That way, if something breaks through the line and starts fighting one or the other of these, then the other ones can turn around to help fight it off.
Ready for war.
Can be useful at times. We're going to take these handgunners, and their plan is to march up onto the hill with the stupid statue that I hate.
For the Emperor.
We're going to put the cavalry over on that side so that they can run around. And then we're just going to go ahead and hit start battle. We're going to start moving our handgunners up, probably into the trees. So once they're into the trees, so anytime that they have this eyeball above their thing, that means the enemy cannot see us. They have absolutely no idea where we are right now.
Detachments move.
Except they do, because it's the computer, and they always do. And the only reason we know where they are is because we had these guys back here who could actually see them for us. Now we're going to have them march up to the front of the line here. So once they get close enough that they can actually see one unit, now suddenly all the ones that have eyeballs are invisible to them. It's really unfair, but you can't hide your entire army in a forest against the AI, because they always know where you are as long as they can't see any of your troops.
Standing by. For Altdorf. Roar! Yes, my lord.
At this point, I'm really not sure what in the hell
Reichsguard Knights.
their plan was. do know that I'm really hoping that these free company guys can just shred some dudes over here. I guess we'll work the cavalry in the backfield here. They were running slightly uphill, which made their charge not very effective. That's why they didn't punt a whole lot of guys out of the way. Now we want to keep them away from that lord if we can, because he'll tangle them up.
No lingering! To battle! Reichsguard Knights! Moving now! Formation march!
Now we're just going to sneak around to the backside of these guys so that we can get on the high ground.
Take the ground! Taking that position!
Now we're just going to come charge at these ones again. A little bit better that time. Still not great. I need to give them a longer charge from farther away.
In the name of the twin-tailed comet! For the Warhammer!
Now our plan is going to be
battle! For the Emperor! Prepare the
to
combat!
charge these archers.
Free company! Yes, my lord! For Heldenhammer! Yes, sir, quickly! Sigmar guides us!
Now we're just interrupting their plan as much as possible.
For the twin-tailed comet! For
I'm going to turn these guys around and have them go back at those archers while our
Formation march!
horse units here takes out these archers. And just keep all the archers from firing on us if possible.
By Garmaraz! Formation march! Free company! War! Attack!
Now theoretically these free company guys are supposed to be relatively okay in melee because they have their swords. Again, I don't ever play as the Empire, so how good they are, I have absolutely no idea.
We obey!
Really not doing a very good job of paying attention to my whole army here. They seem to be doing their job for the most part.
We are Sigmar's heirs! Take the ground!
Move those guys over there. Those guys have been completely routed. I'm gonna turn around and smack these
Free company!
guys here.
To battle!
So we have free company here has been engaged by those, so we're gonna move the other free company unit away if we can.
Go!
So once they're engaged in melee, ranged units, there are tree men.
Take the ground!
That's the wood elves. They've got actual tree men. Like the Ents in Lord of the Rings.
Moving now! Quick march!
See, wood elves have phenomenal archers. They are scary, scary, scary. And they can actually stand in the trees and shoot and not have the trees blocking all their shots. So if I had zoomed in here, like, okay, there's not any trees in the way.
Fight men!
Oh, no. See, like, they will actually, they're now shooting our own units.
Take the ground!
because they're gunpowder units, so they don't have much arc.
At speed!
Oh,
Get that quickly!
see, they literally killed our own horsemen right there. Thanks, guys. Of course, I could have hit end battle at any point and prevented that, since it was a settlement battle. All in all, the troops held up fairly well, I guess. Look at the range. So that's the number of kills. 174 for the cavalry. That one set of archers got 123 kills. Our free company did all right. 83 kills. There were only 30 on that guy. That's the one that was engaged in melee. And then you can also find out like what kind of value each unit brought. So that's based on the amount of damage that you dealt and to what you dealt the damage to. So like if you're killing, say, zombies, zombies are not very good fighters. There's just a lot of them. So you could chop through a whole bunch of them and it's not nearly as valuable as, say, pounding on their lord or killing some of these horsemen. Way more valuable than any zombies. So we're going to occupy. You always have these different options. Well, not always. Depends on what faction you are. Some factions don't have all these different options. But, so generally you have the option to occupy, or you can loot the place and occupy, which gives you increased replenishment this turn, and a little bit of extra money, and still makes the settlement yours, but it also damages buildings that you then have to rebuild. You can just sack it, which means you leave it in control of whoever has it, but you steal a whole bunch of money and also take some captives to put to work in your army, which gives you more unit replenishment. Or you can just loot it real quick and then burn the whole place to the ground, which makes it nobody's, just turns it into a ruin. In our case, we definitely right now are trying to pull together our entire province. And our entire province consists of these 4 territories. That's the 3 territories that the Empire Secessionists had, plus the one that I started with. So all we have left to get is Isleheart here, and then that will give us our full province, which then lets us set a commandment to determine what we want to kind of focus toward.
Bring me to my men.
We've leveled up again. I could give him a warhorse. I'm not going to bother. Not when the Barded Warhorse is only 3 turns later, or 3 levels later. And the Pegasus is only 5 after that. I really hate it when they give us all of these different... Because you can only go up to level 40. And you can't reset your skill points. So if I pick this Warhorse, then 3 turns later I get another Warhorse that has armor on it. Well, now I feel like I really wasted a point on this Warhorse. So... I usually skip the first, at the very least, when I have a whole bunch of mount options, I will definitely not take the first one. Depending on how good the fighter is, I just wait until the last one a lot of times. I didn't see what level is his last one. 16. Alright, so we're going to do the same as we have been and continue trying to build up our army as well as we can. I really wish we had some better... One more turn and we can start to increase that kind of stuff. What's our building tree look like? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 buildings that give us units. 8, because you get a witch hunter out of the tavern. Oh, but I should be able to... So, the other game that you have seen me play, or that I've actually put videos up for, is Vermintide, which takes place in the same universe. And the Ubersreich here, the name of the group that you play as in Vermintide is the Ubersreich 5. And they have a tavern that they can actually build here. So if I switch to this right here, the Red Moon Inn, this is actually a reference in game to the Ubersreich 5, because the 5 that you get to play as are a dwarven warrior guy, an imperial captain guy, an elven waystalker lady, a witch hunter guy, and a bright wizard lady. In that game, unfortunately, all bright wizards in this game are male. But you do get to... There's a lot of little Easter eggs hidden all over in the game. And other stuff that's really funny, like the orcs. If you're playing as the greenskins and you take over certain important places, you can literally get, like, have buildings if somebody manages to take it back that is just piles of shit. It's like towering pile of poo. Because they are funny. Greenskins are hilarious.
The Empire.
Speaking of,
Yeah.
what's Scarsneck doing right now? We're not at war yet. He may end up coming down and messing with me at some point, though.
By the comet.
Anyway, I needed to build new guys. So we're gonna get... We'll take one more archer and some more frontline guys just for now. I'll end up scrapping these soon. You don't want to overdo... Like, you want a solid infantry frontline, but you don't want it to be too big. Unless you are somebody like Warriors of Chaos. Then you can have it be too big because you just don't have a lot of options that are better than your frontline infantry. But with these guys, you know, they have a lot of things we need to leave room for. Lots of ranged units. We've got to have room for artillery, especially. Not sure when we get artillery. When do I get my first artillery? I really want to know.
So,
what do I need to build? Not until tier 3. Holy shit, really? That's gonna be a while. Did not realize it was that slow to get to artillery. It sure feels like whenever I'm fighting the Empire, they always have artillery.
yes.
Alright, so we're gonna hit next turn again. These guys up here at Blackstone Post, that is my favorite vampire faction to actually play at. Kemmler. Heinrich Kemmler. He's
Summon the Elector Counts.
he's just absolute best necromancer of all time.
The nation calls.
We're just going to move up to this point. And then I'm going to... That should put me in range to actually march on that town next turn. So in the meantime, I'm going to grab just a couple more soldiers. Like I said, I'll be getting rid of them soon, but I do want to have them on hand. Alright, I'm going to destroy this building here with the intent of keeping my recruitment building for infantry here in Ubersreich. And then I'm going to build, what can I get for new troops? Pistoliers. Oh, Pistoliers would be really good since I can't get artillery. So Pistolier is a horseman with pistols, and they're actually, when you're fighting against the Empire, they're freaking irritating. So I guess I can find out if I can make them irritating too. We need to have a smithy in order to recruit a few of our units, so I might as well get it built. Ugh. It's expensive. I don't have that kind of money right now. What else am I going to spend it on? Oh well, it's necessary, I guess. There we go. Now we're all set up for the next turn. I guess let's look at our electoral shenanigans. if I can't get a trade agreement yet with
Welcome,
Nordland.
my countrymen.
No, no, I cannot. But we're going up because we have the treaty. This great power condemnation, that is because I'm the player. So there's a lot of anti-player bias in the AI. Except for the Tomb
Welcome,
Kings.
my
They
countrymen.
actually like you because of your
Disagree
great
with
power
that?
status. Boris, you're pissing me off. Just because you distrust the Empire. I'm gonna try to... Can I do improve relations with Boris again? Ooh, but it costs more this time. Does it get more expensive every single time? Or does it matter who you're using it on? It must get more expensive every time. That's frightening. Okay, well, whatever. I have built up quite a bit already. I get 30 per turn at this point in time. Okay, that's not so bad. Alright, so we'll hit next turn. Yeah, I have, obviously, as I've said a million times, I have never done this campaign. I think I tried to play Empire in Warhammer 1, and I gave up. And they just weren't clicking with me, and then I never really tried to play in Warhammer 2. And in Warhammer 1, they were completely different than they are now. All of this electoral machination stuff is just not something that actually happened before. It got added in a Warhammer 2 patch. I don't remember exactly when.
Ready.
Sometime.
Raise your weapons.
Got a super simple fight here, since they ran and went to hide in Helmgart. I think everybody distrusts Karl Franz because he doesn't have a beard and a mustache.
Spearmen! Up it is!
So now we have a pretty large army. What I'm going to actually do is pull them back a little bit. I'm going to do a
Crossbows ready, General. Handgunners!
kind of a melee front build here,
Militia!
or missile front build. And we're just going to see how much damage we can do with some missiles. And then if they start getting too close, we'll just go ahead and march our melee line to the front.
For Heldenhammer! For the twin-tailed comet!
Just hit start battle.
Yes, sir! Quickly! Go! We obey! Yes, sir! Quickly! We serve the Emperor! Spearman, go! Sigmar calls! Swordsman! Reichsguard Knights!
I distracted them so they would stop running.
To battle! Warfare! By all Rex Rock! Free company! My subjects call! This is my command! War!
That was a pretty easy little fight there. With the exception of just one unit over here that has not given up. There they go. Looks like I lost 11 people. Possibly 13. Any dead horses around here? I don't see any. Well, we'll find out. They're the good guys. I mean, they are one of the good guy factions, and despite the number of edgelords who do play video games, most players do want to be the heroes. They want to be the good guys, and they are the most. They and the greenskins probably are the most well-rounded armies because they do have a little bit of everything. The one thing that the Empire does not have that basically almost every other faction has is some kind of monster. The closest they have is the steam tank. And it's not exactly a monster, but it, you know, like it is kind of scary to go up against. It's pretty strong. It's basically their only real single entity other than, we only lost 6. Good job, guys. Other than, you know, like the lords themselves, like Karl Franz on his Deathclaw mount, which is not a Fallout Deathclaw, though that would be hilarious to see. Wonder if somebody's modded one in. And as far as, you know, like I said, they're the good guys, and it is kind of a neat, like the idea here is neat. I can see the appeal in the campaign gameplay as far as like having to do this whole, you've got basically a civil war brewing throughout your whole empire. You're a young emperor who's just started, and you need to try to combine all of these different. So you have to get these guys, these guys, these guys, these guys, these guys, these guys, Nordland up here at the top, all to kind of unite under your banner. And while you're trying to do that, all hell is breaking loose. This game is not a gentle game. Everything is going to be going bad. You've got the crazy tree lady who lives here in Mordheim, who is going to be going on a rampage and smashing these people that live around her here. So you need to get them united while also trying to help them fight off everything that's trying to kill them and you. You've got the vampires here who are definitely, you know, already. So this property right here, the Moot, belongs to Stirland. These guys, they've already lost it. Needling belongs to Talabecland, if I remember right, and they've already lost it. This is Talabecland. Ashton and Waldenhof are part of Sylvania, so they're fine. So yeah, you've already got the vampires starting their march, and they will be butting heads with the Empire. It looks like it hasn't happened yet, but here in just, I would bet here in a few turns, Nagenhof is going to be attacked by the guys who live up here, which is a tribe of greenskins led by a really crazy dude. He's going to come down and start smashing his way through all this. Then you have the Skaven who live up here in Hell Pit. They're going to be marching through all of this stuff. And then the Norse, who live in all this mountainous area up here are constantly coming across the water here and raiding all of this stuff across the top. You got the elves here who are unfriendly at best, but they stay in their forest for the most part. So that's alright. Then you've got these weird vegetarian greenskins that live here. I've never figured out what their deal is, but eventually they end up getting antsy and they start, usually they go over and mess with Marienburg, but I mean they can cause problems too. And on top of all of that, you then have the Chaos Invasion that starts when it comes out. You know, just like when I started, I played, when you start that campaign, you start here, and then you make your way down through. That's exactly where the Chaos Invasion comes from. It comes into here, it hits Kislev, and then it moves down into the Imperial territories here. So you're always trying to fight that off, in addition to all of this other bad stuff. You got vampires surrounding you because you have the two major faction of vampires here in Sylvania, and then you've got Heinrich Kemmler here in the mountains. Usually he's busy messing with Bretonia over here. So that is the one bright thing, is that while you do have all of your own people trying to fight against you, in addition to the whole world literally falling apart, you also have, you do have one strong ally over here with Corone. If you can get them to ally with you, that does help. And usually, I mean, generally I'm always playing on the bad guy's side trying to get rid of them, and that's always what I got to try to do, is knock out Karl Franz first. Always first. Get rid of the Empire because they're a pain in the ass, and then go take out Bretonia. Because Lewin is a pain in the ass. So they definitely have a lot of things going on that make it entertaining, I would guess, if people really wanted to deal with all that. But I've always liked, you know, being Kemmler and having the Empire and the Bretonians hating me and wanting to take me out. Or being Warriors of Chaos, and literally when you come onto the map as Warriors of Chaos, the entire world hates you. That is one of the reasons that I don't like the Empire, is because it is kind of that. It's just dudes and a tank. Dudes and a tank. That is all the Empire is. When I can play as Warriors of Chaos and have a lot of dudes with horrible mutations, literal giants, dragons with two heads, a crazy set of cannons that are actually powered by a demon trapped inside of it that fires screaming souls at things. Or the vampires with all sorts of big scary monsters, or even just having a vampire like standing there in the middle of a field or whatever and raising up zombies in the middle of a fight. That's like with Warhammer 3 coming out, you know, we've got 9 factions that you can play as. 4 major chaos demons, 1 build a demon where you actually get to make your own demon as you're playing your campaign. And then you've got the 2 Kislev factions, which are up here where the Chaos Invasions always come from. And their whole thing is the actual, like, because, like, in this game, they're always the first to fall. Chaos comes in and just absolutely shit stomps them. So in Warhammer 3, if you're playing as Kislev, that's what you're doing, is you're... Chaos is coming and you're the one who's supposed to be protecting all of the rest of humanity because you're the front line every time. on this side of the world. And then on the eastern side of the world, it's Cathay performing the same role. They're both butted up against Chaos. And when Chaos decides to come in, they're the ones who have to form the wall that separates everybody else from all the shit that's about to go down. So, from a good guy standpoint, that is a cool story that, yeah, you are this solid faction who has to try against the odds to basically save the world while these guys are back here doing their petty shit where they're having a civil war all the time. But at the same time, I just want to be the demons and smash everybody. And there's one other ogre faction. There's two more actual ogre factions that you get to play as. So they are the bonus pre-order race that you get if you order it early, or you'll have to pay for it later. But they are like, they're just mercenaries. Ogres are mercenaries who use their very large size to their advantage, and they can basically just beat up everything. And they eat everything. Literally. They eat everything that they kill. Humans, other ogres, dragons. It doesn't matter. They just eat it all.
Bring me to my men. Now, I am Prince and Emperor.
As you see, I'm really good at playing and talking. One thing either is happening or the other thing is happening, and not the two together. Oh, we'll give him some plate armor.
Summon the
See what we can build. We'll build this up to give us some more troop options. Not really anything else I can build in here. What is this? Paved roads. Growth +5. Campaign movement increased. Well, nice. I like that. Growth +20. I like that more. So you do farms first, then you switch to paved roads later when you don't need the growth as bad. Makes sense. Now that we have the entire province, we get to do a commandment. So we can do this Festag thing, which is basically just a big feast. But it keeps public order up so that your people don't rebel. So that's one thing that happens. Like this right here shows you my public order. It's if it gets to -100, there's a rebellion, and an army will spawn outside the gates and start building up, and then eventually attack the town. So it's something to keep in mind. So the biggest reason though is just because I had a conquest, so I had just taken over that town, so it automatically gets -10. So as soon as that -10 goes away, it'll actually be getting better. So anyway, public order adds another 4 to my modifier on that. Sigmarite Dogma, that's the Church of Sigmar. Looks like it makes things untainted. So you have all the different corruptions to worry about. Like right now we actually have some Skaven corruption going on just through osmosis. So that's because we have a Skaven territory of some kind bordering our lands. Where the hell do we have Skaven territory? I mean, I know there's Skaven right here at Fester Spike. They must have built an undercity somewhere. Must have. So they have an undercity somewhere that's bleeding into our territory. So I gotta keep an eye out for that. You can actually try to root them out with heroes or by building special buildings where people search for Skaven. Skaven are such a pain in the ass. Still one of my favorite campaigns ever that I've ever played with Skaven. What we're going to do for our commandment though is the growth commandment. So growth +20 and income from trade +5. If I could actually get some trade going, that would be helpful. So this bouncy thing here is I have a
will hear
quest
your
there to
petition,
get
but make no promises
a
to act
sword
on
or
it.
whatever. So the goblins are asking me to sign a non-aggression pact. So if you look over here, they're unreliable. So that means that they're willing to break an agreement anytime they think it's going to actually help them. They're aggressive, so they really, really like to fight people. And they really like to confederate with people. Not with me. You can only confederate with people of the same race as you. I don't even know if I would gain anything from a non-aggression pact. I'm going to decline. So, making those agreements actually does matter, because you see here where it says my reliability is very high. And if I was to make that non-aggression pact and then attack him, my reliability would get tanked and it would be very low, and it makes it harder for you to make agreements with anybody that you want to make an agreement with. So it's better to not accept that when I think that there's a possibility that we're going to end up fighting anyway. Because for him, like I said, he's already unreliable. He doesn't care if he breaks an agreement. He could sign the non-aggression pact and then do stuff to annoy me to try to make me break the thing, because it doesn't matter to him at all. One of the more annoying things in this is you'll get people to force you or to ask you to sign a non-aggression pact, and you're like, okay, that sounds fine. I'm not planning on ever attacking you anyway. And then the next thing you know, they come into your land and then they raid it. They just sit there and reduce your public order and literally steal money from you. And you have a non-aggression pact with them. So if you attack that army, well, that's on you. You broke your non-aggression pact. Because raiding apparently doesn't count as aggression, which is just ridiculous. But that is yet another of the billion things that they fixed in Warhammer 3. If somebody was to do that, they actually get a little button above their head where you get to tell them to get the fuck out of your territory. Otherwise, if they don't get out of your territory within 2 turns of you telling them to get out, you get to attack them, and it does not affect your reliability at all, because it's their fault for being an aggressor in that way. So it gives you a pretty nice casus belli system, which is pretty sweet. I really like that. So I'm going to come up here to try to take, as well as I can, to try to take Helmgart. That is not going to be easy. Helmgart is a fort, which is a special kind of map that is a lot like the pretty much every town map is going to be. Not nearly as cool as they are in Warhammer 3, but it is one that you actually have to go in and fight to take over this thing, and it's not just an open field battle. And unfortunately, I don't have artillery. I really wish I did, though, because I bet this place does. Yeah, this place has artillery. So they'll have mortars behind the walls that I've got to march back to try to take out. Not going to be a simple deal.
The nation calls.
We got some research available, so we got our growth going that route as well. I don't know these guys well enough to know. Ooh, that'll be good for when I do get. Oh, that's good too. Oh. Alright, we're gonna. Or do I want to go with that? I don't know. Well, we'll find out. Alright, have I gotten any chance to actually build something decent yet? No, didn't think so. Oh, but I can build the Pistoliers. That would be helpful.
I am Prince and Emperor.
Pistoliers. Cost 425. 125 a turn in upkeep. That's what these two numbers are. That's your cost. That's your upkeep. Take some harassment cavalry. I don't know how well it'll work in that stupid Helmgart thing. And then we'll see what that looks like.
Friends of the Empire.
Hey, there's Lewin. Hey, you bet, Lewin. Let's get started right away.
Greetings, countrymen. I welcome your offer.
Hi, Marienburg. So generally one of the things you're supposed to try to do pretty much immediately is start sacking Marienburg for money. They're at war with Corone? Well, then I'm not signing a non-aggression pact with you. I don't want to ruin my friendship with King Lewin.
Summon the Elector Counts.
Okay, now we get to try this battle and see what kind of hell it's gonna bring.
Men, we must attack.
Says it's a Pyrrhic victory. Ugh, so many ranged units. And they have great swords. So we got a hunter and an empire captain. Hunter's gonna be a pain in the ass. Tons of ranged guys and the mortars. Mortars are very, very annoying to deal with. And I don't, like if I was the vampires, I'd be like, oh, not a problem. I would just send some bats back, take out the mortars, and then slowly work on harassing all of the ranged units with bats, dogs, and zombies while my better troops kind of march in. With the Empire, I really, I don't know them well enough. The only thing I can do is, march into the face of all of the arrows and shit that'll be flying at me. Take them to the face and just hope that it works out alright. So as you see, it's a fort. I have to march in and try to take this victory point up in the top. So it's got ramps that go all the way up. I really don't get... We don't have a gate. So am I going to have to fight on the walls? This doesn't make any sense. I never really thought about it. I always just take them over, and usually I have artillery to take the walls down. But I don't really have that option this time. How bizarre. Okay, my swordsmen are all shielded, so that's good. We're going to go ahead and just march like that. Spearmen will stand in the back because they don't have shields. I'll take the guys who actually have a firing arc. Put them behind those guys.
My subjects call.
Carl Franz right up front.
Free company. Militia. For the twin.
Oh, I keep trying to move multiple ones. I know that you can't do that. Alright, we'll group these guys together. They're just gonna march up the center alley here and hope for the best, I guess. We might try to have the free company guys and the horses wrap around to one side or the other. Sure, why not? That explosion, that's the mortars firing. So aggravating. What I think I'm going to try to do is perform a switcheroo here, and I'm going to move my gunners over to climb up the walls over here because they didn't put any troops over there because they saw that I wasn't set up over there. And I think they're kind of stupid and slow to move over.
By Ulrich's wrath, strike them down! War! Swordsman! So,
We're just going to have to do a normal assault on the
swordsman!
walls, I guess.
Climbing the wall, sir! Spearmen! Aye! Ready! Climb! Show us the foe! Climb! Free company! Get up there! For the Warhammer! Sigmar guides us!
Alright.
And gunners! Climbing the wall, sir!
So we've got handgunners getting up there to hopefully snipe some guys in the rear end while we're up on the wall.
Halberdiers!
See, the problem with doing this without making any siege equipment first is climbing up these ladders is extremely tiring. So your troops tend to get very, very, very weak.
Swordsman! Militia! For France! Yes, sir! For Skull Splitter!
I really hate mortars. So what I'm trying to do is break down the gate, and then we're going to try to push in to the gate. And then if we're able to do that, we will run the horses over there to get in. And then go back and take out that stupid
Free company!
mortar and victory point, maybe.
Yes, my lord! Militia!
Well, we got some guns up top now. That helps a ton.
For Skull Splitter! We are Sigmar dares! Free company!
Did we get the gate open? We did. Alright, boys. Walk into the gate. Go take these guys out. And get some horses in here. They left the gate pretty wide open for us.
Draw breath! Ready for war!
Starting to run out of ammo already on the archers. shoot them from there. I don't want you to run all the way over there.
Hand gunners! At speed!
Okay, we'll try to drop the handgunners down then.
Pistoliers! To me, men! Prepare for combat! Attack! For the Emperor! Pistoliers! Hand gunners! Withdraw! Attack! General, moving now!
How the hell are my pistoliers so hurt already?
For the Heldenhammer!
Holy cow, those spearmen did a number on them.
Sigma, preserve us! Attack! Rexguard Knights! Halberdiers! Moving now! Yes, sir, quickly! We are Sigma's heirs! Yes, my lord!
Alright. Starting to get this well in hand, I think. As soon as I can pull these Reichsguard through here. Get up here, please. They are going to go back and visit some mortars.
We serve the Emperor. Sigma, preserve us. Go. Missiles ready, my friend. Free company. For France. Hand gunners! Free company!
Okay. How are we doing up here? Mortar's still doing this thing. We've done a pretty
Formation march!
good job of hitting everything we need to.
Taking position! At speed! Quick march! To battle! Attack!
There. Gave them lots of orders. Maybe they'll actually do what I want now.
Sigma, preserve us!
Alright, where's their leader guy at? Should be hiding somewhere right around here. There he is. Carl Franz, go take him out.
Pistoliers!
Pistoliers, how are you doing?
No
About to get hit by
lingering!
spearmen. Good thing I looked.
Yes, sir, quickly! Taking position! Quick march! Call France! Sigma guides us! Keeping distance, sir!
There. See if that helps.
We serve friends!
The Reichsguard are finally up to the top.
Withdraw!
At this point, we should not see
Yes, sir, quickly!
any more mortar fire. That will help a ton. Most of the damage they were able to do was actually from that mortar fire. And that was basically all it took. Wow. That was indeed a Pyrrhic victory. But I still did better than the auto resolve said, because it had me losing a bunch of units. I don't think I lost any unless this swordsman unit died, which he may have. Sometimes when there's just that little pixel of health, then they still end up being dead when it gets to the next screen. He lived! 7 of them remaining in that little unit. We shall occupy this fort. And that should have gotten rid of all of the secessionists. Faction destroyed. Empire secessionists. Phenomenal.
Bring me to my men.
Made it to level 6 so far. Give me some more armor.
Yes.
Don't really have anything new I get to build. I could get some more pistoliers out of that. Next turn I'll be able to get crossbowmen, halberdiers, and spearmen with shields. Well, not next turn. Next turn I'll be able to build the building that'll allow that stuff to finally start being made. If I wait 4 turns, I'll be able to move this up to level 3. That'll actually open up. I'm going to do that before I upgrade these two. I'll get Altdorf to 3 first. That'll allow me to do some artillery, which I'm definitely lacking right now. Looking at the clock, though, it is 11:30. So I am probably going to call it there.
By the comet.
We get to set a thing. I'll do growth as per usual so that we can get that built up to level 5 as quickly as possible.
Ready.
And we will hit next turn, see what happens during this set of turns, then I'll save it as soon as it's my turn again. I finally got the, if you can see on the stream, I finally got all of my spool holders built on the enclosure. So right now I have it set up for 3 different spools to be set on top and then fed down inside. The enclosure so far hasn't helped me printing the ASA at all. And I mean, most of the stuff is still working the way it should, but the ASA, which reminds me, I still need to run that textured sheet down to area 59. But I still can't figure. I think I need a heater. I think that is what I need. Is I need to put a heater in there and try to maintain a slightly higher temperature. It's just too cold up here, even though it gets to be freaking terrible in here. But as far as the normal spool holder that comes with the Prusa, these are nice. It's like an adjustable thing that's got like roller bearings on it that you actually slide, fit to the width of your spool, and then the actual outsides of the spool sit on these bearings, so it rolls really smooth, much better than that just having it hung on a big plastic pole. My next 3D print, I gotta figure out how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make a beard mold so that I can actually like just put it up on my chin and quickly shave all of the parts that aren't supposed to be shaved. Because that's kind of weird shit I decide I absolutely must do on that thing. Yeah, I found a couple nice ones that you can kind of just set up, drill a little hole in the enclosure, and then just run a. It's almost just like a little ceramic heater with a fan on it, or I could even just get a. You know what? I actually might have a ceramic heater from the lizard/snake enclosures we used to have. We probably gave all those away. If they're really cheap, well, like $40 or something like that, but that wouldn't be bad. If I can keep a snake alive, it should help with printing. Can't let it get too hot either, but we'll figure it out. Definitely figure it out. I should have, let's see here, users, x app data, no, or is it? Yes. Okay. I've got a replay I'm going to do for you real quick to show you what I'm talking about with the rats. Hit copy. Go to me. Data roaming. Warhammer 2 replays. Paste. Okay. We're going to go to main menu. Use. It should be fine. All right, so this is me fighting a siege battle with rats. This is my rat army. And like I said, when it comes to playing as rats, you tend to have some cheese just because that's how the rats operate. But I'm sitting in front of the gate just shooting the hell out of it. Rats are all about heavy firepower. You got rats with sniper rifles. You got rats with gigantic Gatling guns. You got rats. Oh, these ones are actually rats with flamethrowers. So one rat holds the tank of fuel and the other rat has the flamethrower attachment. These things fire gigantic bolts of lightning. These things are throwing plague-filled projectiles. These guys here are putting these glass globes full of poisonous gas that we are then shooting over here into the... We're just gassing the hell out of everybody. And they are just melting. I mean, and then these little dudes in the front, those guys are throwing a kind of poisonous gas that just melts flesh. So everybody who's trying to run out of the walls or out from inside the city to escape the death and carnage are just getting pinged by these guys with their nasty purple gas that is just absolutely decimating them. These are the ones with the big old Gatling guns. Again, you've got one rat who's carrying a thing that holds all the ammunition, and the one in the front is the gunner. Here's guys with some more poisonous gas. They're just waiting for their chance to throw stuff. Equipped with gas masks, and yeah. And then here is our just normal soldiers who normally don't really have to do anything during siege battles. They just stand up front, soak up a few shots for the few minutes that the defending army is alive enough to shoot at them, which does not last long. So you never lose many rats, and the only rats that you lose are the ones you don't care about, because you really got to have the mindset of the Skaven in order to do this properly. And they just really don't care about other rats. And this here is Icket Claw. He's got a jetpack. He's got one of the most powerful attacks in the game. If you manage to kill him, he actually just explodes in a gigantic nuclear blast. And then in addition to that, I could drop nukes in here if I really wanted to. I never do, though. I always just do exactly what you see here. Sit up front, shoot things. I'll knock down these towers where they have guys inside shooting at us. And then I'll knock down the gate. And then I'll knock holes in the walls. And then usually by that time they've just completely been demoralized and they give up. Of course, it doesn't help that the AI is absolutely stupid. They're just falling over dead from all the gases inside there. Yeah, the rats are ridiculously fun to play as. They do have vehicles and stuff. I don't have any in this particular army, but yeah, they've got vehicles like these gigantic rolling wheels that just smash things, or other wheels that are like, they're equipped with basically mini versions of these catapult, or not catapults, these cannon things on the front of them. You can actually equip the this guy with one. I didn't have him equipped yet at the time that I recorded this battle. But yes, they are crazy. And as you can see from my health bars, I mean, very little. That was the Gatling gunners. There's usually not anybody in close enough for them to actually fire, but as soon as somebody is, they just unleash. Why is this saying I had a valiant defeat? That's funny. It was warning me that things might not go the way that they're supposed to on the replay because of the difference in... I wonder if it ended early. It was recorded on a different version of the game. It was before the last patch went through. I wonder if... check this one real quick and see if I had any in this army. It's the same army, but it was later. Okay, I do have some rolling wheels in this one. This is where I got attacked by this huge army. I have one army, and I'm being attacked by two armies that attacked me when I was trying to escape underground. And, yeah, don't fight the Skaven underground if you can help it. But the big wheels, let's see. He's not equipped with his yet, but I do have one set of them. Where are you at? There they are. These are the littler wheels. They're like a motorcycle with these slicey, choppy blades all over them. And then the big wheel is like really big. It would like surround this whole thing. And it's got like multiple rats that actually do they're pedaling it to make it go, and then the rat who's piloting it sits on a chair in the middle of it. These are the flamethrower guys. These are the snipers. Their snipers are awesome because they got the one rat who actually holds a shield to protect the both of them, and the other guy braces his gun on the top of the shield. And occasionally kicks the shield guy for moving around too much. So they attacked me, so all I had to do was wait, because they had to come to me. And there's when they first got into range, and immediately they start taking damage. And I start shooting their horses. And then they had artillery, but the thing with the rats is they can just tell other rats to crawl out of the ground, and within seconds, artillery gone. Don't even have to worry about it anymore. And now everybody else is just marching on our position, and we just stand there and watch them die as they get close. I love the rats, if you can't tell. Chaos is still my favorite faction to play as, but I have to say that this rat campaign that I did was probably one of the more fun things I ever did. And here they started actually getting in on us. But this bar at the top is the balance of power. So again, they had me outnumbered 2 armies to 1, and already I've got them knocked down to where I am way winning that balance. And you notice it pops up and it says that my troops are fleeing, and that's what the rats do, because they're chicken shit. They are really cowardly. There's the flamethrowers. Unit runs up, unit runs away. Unit runs up, unit runs away. They apparently don't like being covered in flame. And the entire army heads for the hills. Still says valiant defeat. That's funny. It's like, you won, but here's your defeat. So yeah, there's lots of lots of things are just more interesting than the Empire. Just feel more interesting just because they're not just a bunch of guys. So like this here is the opening battle if you play as the vampire pirate faction, the Pirates of Sartosa. And, you know, a big army because vampires can raise the dead. So before I even go into battle, I raise the dead. I position my human troops back here in the trees. I position some dogs here so that they're hidden, so that if I need to use them to harass, they're kind of in position already. I got these two fat guys right here who are the suicide bombers, who will run in and blow up on things and do massive amounts of damage. And all we do is just wait for them to come to us again, because we have lots of ranged units. They pretty much have to. These guys noticed the dogs, so they decided to run back there. These guys start running in, and these zombies here carry bombs and just start chucking them at them. I've got all these gunners up here who've just been shooting at them the whole way through. The bombers are continuing their assault there. The other troops back there just realized, oh crap, our buddies are being destroyed. What should we do? Then they decided to keep chasing the dogs anyway. And on top of all of this that I've got going on, we also have tucked up here on this hill just gigantic hermit crabs. And I've just now said, hey, why don't you run down the hill and mess with some dudes? Of course, run is a relative term. They're not super speedy. Those dogs are busy eating up all of those troops there. The gods have abandoned us. Ah, music to my ears when I'm playing against the Empire. Oh, that's just awesome. So yeah, you don't get to do that kind of stuff with the Empire. And it is kind of boring, but they are the good guys. You know, these are the horrors that they have to face up against. So maybe it is a good thing to do, trying to play as them. Getting exploded. Valiant defeat. I wonder why it does that. That's funny. Yes, as you can see, very, very defeated. I took practically no damage at all. Anyway, I've rambled enough. I said I was going to go to bed a while ago. Now I really will. Maybe one day I'll figure out how to actually play the Empire and figure out some cool things I can do with them. I do like good cavalry charges. I'll give them that. Very satisfying, but so far that's about the best thing I've got. Have a good night. I think you guys are already gone.